Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This time we are going to study about simple past, specific time in the past, a special edition of English grammar. In this lesson, you are going to learn what simple past is and when to use it, and then how to compose simple past sentences, and finally, how to identify errors in simple past sentence. Let's begin with what is simple past. Simple past is used to express actions that happened in a specific time in the past. Simple past is the tense mostly used in daily conversation. Simple past uses past verb or verb to and a specific time signal to indicate that it happened in the past. Most of us EFL learners, a student who study English as foreign learner, as a foreign language, we usually use simple present to make sentence because every time when we are asked to make a sentence, we use simple present, that is using present verb or verb 1. And most of them use them in the wrong way. And that's why it is very important for EFL learner to study about how to use simple past. Actually, based on the research, simple past is mostly used tense in daily conversation. Let's study how to compose simple past. We will begin by observing the formula, the sentence structure of the simple past. In order to compose simple past, we are going to rely on these formula. We have active sentence and also negative sentence and also question sentence. The basic composition is that it begins with subject and followed by past verb. For example, I did. And in the negative form, we need to add not or negation. And sometimes it can be simplified using didn't. Did not becomes didn't, and then followed by base verb. For example, I did not do. And the question for formation is that it begins with the auxiliary did and then followed by the subject and followed by the base verb and of course question mark. For example, did I do? Did I do? And when it comes to past verb and then base verb and the other form of verb, I think it is very essential to study about verb forms. Most students confuse between base verb and verb 1. Let's identify. There are actually four kinds of forms, verb forms. The first is the basic verb. So the base verb, I make it simple into BV, base verb. And then verb 1 that represents the present verbs. Verb 2 that represents past verb. And verb 3 is past participle. So there are actually four levels. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the kind of verb are two. The first is the do verbs and the other one is the be verbs. So do, the base form is do, and then the present verb is do or sometimes does when the subject is Third party singular, like she, he, it, it's using does. So do is verb 1 and does also verb 1. And that's why sometimes most students confuse between these. So in the past form that we study in the previous formula, that we use past verb because it indicates the past time. Let's go back to the verb forms. So here in the past simple past we use verb to. When it is a be, and then we use was or were. You need to pay attention on the regular and irregular verbs. The regular verbs, it's easy to compose verb to or a past verb because you just need to add ed. For the irregular verbs, you have to memorize yourself. You need to read more about irregular verbs, because the forms are not regular. You just don't add ed by the end. It differs from part to part. Go, goes, go or goes, and then went, and then gone. All right, so that's the requirements of to compose of composing simple past. Next, we will study when to use it and how it looks like when it comes to timeline. So we have a timeline right here, and then it is divided into three sections, three times: the past, the present or now, and the future. We are focusing on the past time because this is simple past. A simple past is an action that happened in specific time in the past, and usually it happens only one time. But all that we need to pay attention is that it happened in specific time in the past. For example, he came to me this morning. He came to me this morning. He doesn't come regularly, not every day. He did this just once, that is this morning. So it is expressed using simple past. He came to me this morning. So the time signal could be varied, like yesterday, like in year something, or maybe this morning, like this one, and blah 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 ago. We will study more about the time signal in the next page. So the time signals that we usually use is like just a short time ago. For example, I just came right now, just a minute ago. So a minute ago or just a short time ago. You can use just a 1 minute ago, 5 minutes ago. And then this morning is also an indication of past time. And then yesterday, of course, you heard this many times that yesterday is used for simple past. And then ago, and some variations: a day ago, a week ago, a year ago, and so on. And then use the last week, last month, last year, and so on. And in year, for example, in 1995, for example, etc. Okay, so the time signals is just to indicate that an action happened in the past. And next, I want you to be careful to identify about some mistakes when using simple past. And that's why you need to be careful. Beginner EFL learners tend to confuse between simple past and present in use. EFL is English as foreign language. Use simple past for an action that happened only one time. So let's just what I give you in the example before, like this one. He came to me this morning. So he doesn't come every day. He did this just once, and that's why it is only one time. And if it is only one time, we express that using simple past, and especially when we use specific time signal. Let's go back to what we need to pay attention. For example, if a teacher asks a student, please write a sentence in simple past using any verb. Or maybe, for example, the teacher wants the student to make a sentence using the verb write, and usually a student will say, I write a letter. Okay, I write a letter. If this is just how to make a sentence, then it's okay. It is grammatically correct, but mostly wrong in usage because this sentence means a repeated action. Now, the job is a writer. Okay, when it comes to use, when you use it in a paragraph, when you use it for communication, you need to pay attention on the forms, right? Whether it is using present or maybe simple past. Now, if you want to say that the job is a writer, and that's why somebody says, or you say your job is a writer, and it's okay for you to say, I write a letter. But if writing a letter is not your daily job, then when you say I write a letter is wrong because you wrote a letter only once. And if it is only once, it is better or it's best for you to say using simple past. That is, I wrote a letter because it happened only one time and not in daily or regular job, not in daily basis, not repeated actions, only one time. And that's why we use simple past. Again, simple past is actually mostly used in many occasions, many opportunities, especially in daily conversations. In our daily life, we usually use simple past. And that's why amongst 16 English tenses, it is best for you to learn simple past first. Thank you. I think that's all what I can deliver in this video. Later on, we are going to practice creating sentence and I will be checking your work. So we have a discussion on which part is wrong, which part is correct, and of course, talking about the difficulties that you face in creating and identifying simple past. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.